President Trump met with the president of El Salvador at the White House today. The Justice Department filed a court briefing over the weekend claiming it has no legal obligation to return a migrant wrongfully deported, despite the Supreme Court ruling that he must be brought back. Erica Brown has more from the White House.
During an Oval Office meeting Monday, President Trump thanked the president of El Salvador for helping with his administration's mass deportation efforts.
We have millions of people that should not be in this country that are dangerous.
The visit comes one day after the U.S. sent 10 more migrants who the White House accused of being gang members to a notorious prison in El Salvador. And the Trump administration insists there is little it can do to bring a 29-year-old Kilmar Abrego Garcia back to the U.S. The Maryland father was deported to the prison after an administrative error. The White House maintains he's a gang member. The Supreme Court ruled the administration must facilitate his return.
If they wanted to return him, we would facilitate it, meaning provide a plane.
But Salvadoran President Nayib Bukele says he has no intention of sending Abrego Garcia back to the U.S., even though he was never charged or convicted of a crime.
Of course, I'm not going to do it. It's like, the question is preposterous. How can I smuggle a terrorist into the United States?
During the meeting, President Trump also said he'll explore legal avenues to potentially deport U.S. citizens to El Salvador if they commit crimes.
If we can do that, that's good. And I'm talking about violent people. I'm talking about really bad people.
As the administration's immigration crackdown faces more legal challenges, a federal judge in Vermont Monday considered whether to release a Tufts University student detained by ICE and accused of engaging in activities in support of Hamas. Rumeysa Ozturk says her arrest violates her free speech rights. Erica Brown, CBS News, the White House.
Former Hawaii Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard is threatening to sue CNN for accusing her of voter fraud. She says it put her and her family's safety at risk. The news outlet reported last week that the National Intelligence Director claimed residency in Texas months before casting her vote in the presidential election last November here in Hawaii. Gabbard's team tells us they had told CNN before the story published that she was facing significant, credible ongoing threats and that the coverage would draw attention to her home address. Last week, the FBI arrested a Georgia man for allegedly making threats against Gabbard and President Trump. He's been identified as 25-year-old Ali Akbar Mohammed Amin. Gabbard thanked the FBI in a social media post and said that Amin had repeatedly threatened her and her family. Meanwhile, Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro had to evacuate his home after an intruder started a fire. This was just hours after he and his family celebrated the Passover Seder. Now, the suspect will be charged with attempted murder and terrorism offenses. Officials said 38-year-old Cody Balmer intentionally set a fire at the governor's residence early Sunday morning while Shapiro and his family were at home. Shapiro said the attack was targeted, but officials don't know Balmer's specific motive yet. Balmer's mom, Christy Balmer, told CBS News her son is, quote, mentally ill and he went off his medication. The home has safely housed 8 governors and their families. Here at home, Honolulu police are working to track down a man who reportedly attacked a 79-year-old woman as she was walking to work Sunday morning. It happened just before 5 a.m. near the bus stop on North Nimitz Highway and Lagoon Drive. According to law enforcement sources, the suspect repeatedly struck the woman in the head and face with what was described as a blunt stick-like object. Now, she was rushed to the hospital. Police have not yet released a description of the suspect. A 33-year-old man has been charged with negligent homicide and driving without a license after a fatal crash in Mililani that killed his juvenile passenger. It happened at around 4:30 Saturday morning, just before the Kipapa Gulch Bridge. HPD's Natrin Aulua Naki was speeding southbound on Kamehameha Highway and overtaking vehicles when he lost control, crossed into the northbound lanes, and crashed into a fence and then a guardrail. The female juvenile was ejected from the car and onto the roadway. Naki and the girl were taken to the hospital in critical condition. She later died from her injuries. Police say speed and alcohol appeared to be factors in the crash. Naki's bail is set at $75,000. Meanwhile, on Maui, a 28-year-old man has died of his injuries after he was hit by a vehicle while crossing Kahului Beach Road. He has been identified as Tori Nabu of Kahului. It happened at 8:45 p.m. Friday as Nabu was crossing the road from the ocean towards Harbor Lights Apartments. The cause of the crash remains under investigation. And these two crashes continue a surge in traffic deaths on Oahu and Maui this year. Maui has had 8 fatal crashes since the start of the year, double from 2024's first quarter. And Oahu has had 22 compared to 9 last time this year. At this time, the fatalities have not been limited to one area or type of vehicle. They've included motorcycles, e-bikes, cars, and some were pedestrians. The causes also varied, but speed, inattention, and impairment were among the contributing factors.
This is preventable. We all know that speed kills. We know that if you are on any sort of 2 wheels, 4 wheels, skateboards, you have to wear a helmet. If you choose not to wear a helmet, these days, you are risking your life.
This is not new information, but everything that we're pushing out, it's been pushed out for decades, right? So it comes down to a personal responsibility or obligation, whether you're walking, riding, driving, even if you're an occupant in a vehicle. We all have a responsibility to make sure that we're traveling safely.
HPD says officers have been on the lookout for street racing operations, along with speeding, impaired driving, distracted driving, and seatbelt checks. However, that has not slowed the rate of people dying on the roads. On Kauai, a man has died after being pulled from waters off Lidgate Beach. Authorities say 30-year-old Matthew Tusitala of Kapa'a was unresponsive when a lifeguard brought him to shore around 10:45 Saturday morning. He died later at the hospital. And the search for a missing fisherman off Miloli'i on Hawaii Island is expanding. Earl Hine hasn't been seen since Wednesday. Eddie Dowd spoke with his family.
The brother of 42-year-old Earl Hine says the search so far has not turned up any signs of wreckage, which gives the family hope that he is still out in his boat somewhere adrift.
We know he had 3 onos on his boat and a bunch of bottom fish that he caught. So he has food. He had full fish box of ice, bunch of water, and so he could be out. He could be out there for 10, 20 days and still be,
Hine launched his small fishing boat from the South Point boat ramp on Hawaii Island Monday, but was last seen in the area offshore Wednesday. Sunday marks the 4th day in the official search involving the Coast Guard, Fire Department, DONR, and numerous boaters in the fishing community.
Yesterday, I think out to like 80-something miles, 90 miles, maybe possibly even 100. Today, they were expanding out to 150. Anywhere is a possibility now,
Hine's brother Manu says there is a possibility that his boat could now be south of Maui or Oahu, and is asking boaters on those islands to keep their eyes out.
But we're just asking outer islands right now just to keep an eye out. Coast Guard has a bunch of planes, or the C-130, and then they're using that Navy plane that's like it has real high-tech stuff on it.
According to Hine's family, he also has a parachute sea anchor that he can use to keep his boat from flipping in the strong winds. Boaters across the state are being asked to keep an eye out for a small fishing boat that's blue with a white hull, and anyone with information should contact 808-842-2600. Eddie Dowd, Hawaii News Now.
A 5.2 magnitude earthquake rattled San Diego, California this morning. Now, video shows moderate shaking in homes just after 10 a.m. local time. There have been reports that it was felt across Southern California and even into Mexico. There's been no immediate report of injuries or damage, and no tsunami warning or advisory has been issued because of the quake.
Well, happy Monday, everybody. Let's take a look at our temperatures outside right now. A little warm out there, around 86 degrees. We're seeing easterly winds around 16 miles per hour. And I want to expand this out throughout the rest of this afternoon and evening. You'll notice we're still warm around 2 p.m., 85 degrees, getting down to around 80 as the sun is setting. So overall, really nice weather, a little bit warm out there going forward. Taking a look outside at our winds, you can see overall easterly flow across the state. Northerly winds over the last hour in town around 16 miles per hour. These are going to get weaker going forward. You can see as we're going into Tuesday overall, we'll be seeing more easterly flow, slightly southeasterly over the eastern half of the state. I'll give you a further breakdown on this and take you to your island by island forecast coming up.
Thank you, Drew. The oldest known Pearl Harbor survivor has died. Vaughn P. Drake was 106 years old. Pacific Historic Parks announced he died April 7th in Lexington, Kentucky. Now, Drake was serving in the U.S. Army at Kaneohe Naval Air Station when the attack happened. His job was to run a temporary electric plant to power equipment while the barracks were being built. Now, a bomb hit one of the buildings near him. Drake continued to serve in the Army Corps of Engineers throughout the war, including in Saipan during the Marianas Campaign. Ahead on This Is Now, Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg takes a stand in his company's antitrust trial in Washington, D.C. Why the social media giant is accused by the FTC of creating a monopoly. Plus this.
The White House is facing questions about a temporary tariff exemption for high-tech items made in China. I'm Natalie Brand with what the administration is saying and the message that small business owners want the White House to hear.
The Trump administration is facing confusion over tariffs on high-tech electronics such as iPhones and tablets. Natalie Brand has more details from the White House.
President Trump is meeting with El Salvador's president at the White House to discuss immigration.
We appreciate working with you because you want to stop crime, and so do we.
It comes as the president's trade policy continues to unfold, with new questions about the tariff on some popular electronics from China, like iPhones. Administration officials say those goods are excluded from the 125% import tariff, but still subject to an earlier 20% tariff related to fentanyl. U.S. Trade Representative Jamieson Greer says those tech items will also be considered for separate national security-related tariffs with the goal of boosting manufacturing of semiconductors in the U.S.
It's shifting from one bucket of tariffs to a different bucket of potential tariffs.
You know, you have to show a little flexibility. We go back to what we have to do. The markets have been very strong once they got used to it.
Small businesses in the U.S. are pleading for flexibility as they face the full 145% tariff on imports from China.
Small businesses like mine are marginalized and left to bear the burden of this and to see our families suffer.
Ralph Bradley is the owner of a Texas-based company that imports lighting equipment for items including trailers, RVs, and farm equipment. His father started a joint venture in the early 90s with a family-owned company in China that makes the products.
We have a great relationship with them and are scared about not just our business being in detriment, but what happens to their business and their families.
Trump administration officials say negotiations with China will happen between Presidents Trump and Xi, but so far talks have not been scheduled. Natalie Brand, CBS News, the White House.
Today, a mega antitrust trial kicked off that could decide the fate of the social media company Meta, the parent company of Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp. The Federal Trade Commission is accusing billionaire Mark Zuckerberg's company of shutting out the competition and unfairly profiting from it. Meta bought Instagram and WhatsApp more than a decade ago when they were startups, in a move Meta says was necessary to compete with other popular apps. Now, Instagram and WhatsApp are social media giants themselves, and the FTC says Meta has a monopoly and needs to spin them off.
In the eyes of the FTC, one company owns too much of the different social media products that so many people use. But in the eyes of Meta, the parent company of Facebook and Instagram, they say, no, it's still a really competitive landscape out there. And, we are one of many players, and there is still a lot of choice out there.
Zuckerberg took the stand today with the FTC lawyers questioning him about the origins of Facebook and the concept of friending on the Meta platforms. The trial, taking place in Washington, D.C., is expected to last for 2 months. What can be a long trip if you're flying out of state? Health experts are now warning about the risk of developing blood clots in your legs when you travel far distances. Mandy Gaither explains how to avoid them.
It's a season of travel, and whether you're vacationing by car or by plane, experts say long trips can take a toll on your body.
Blood clots are very rare with air travel, but they are not uncommon with long distance travel. You're talking about travel more than 4 or 5 hours.
Cardiologist Dr. Sumith Alady with Orlando Health says a blood clot can be life-threatening. Symptoms include swelling, pain, or tenderness in the legs, especially if it's in just one leg. Skin may also be red and warm to the touch. If you have these symptoms, seek care immediately.
If you delay that and if you take some time, then that blood clot may have broken off and you're giving a chance to develop a blood clot in the lungs, which is more life-threatening.
To prevent blood clots on long trips, a lady says to take breaks. In the car, stop every couple of hours to stretch your legs. On a plane, wearing compression socks can help reduce swelling and improve blood flow. If you can't stand up, you can also try calf exercises while seated to keep the blood moving.
You can do some toe lifts or heel lifts, squeeze your calves.
A lady says knowing your risk is also important. You're more likely to get blood clots if there's a personal or family history of them, or if you have weight or vein problems. Those who are pregnant or recently had surgery are also at increased risk. For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
And stick around. Coming up after the break, your full first alert forecast. We're tracking lighter winds and showers over the next couple of days.
First Alert Weather with Drew Davis.
Well, it's Monday again, everybody. Let's take a look at our First Alert weather forecast. We've got lighter winds out there over the next couple of days. Overall southeasterly flow and some showers in the forecast. A better chance for rainfall by the time we get to the end of this week. That's around Thursday and Friday. Breaking down the First Alert radar and satellite, I do want to show you outside. There's a few little pockets of moisture moving in along the trade wind flow that we're seeing right now. Over on Kauai, we're actually only seeing a few clouds. Again, the Kauai radar really only shows us half of the picture. We're not seeing what's going on up near Honolulu, but overall it doesn't seem like much rainfall coming down on the Garden Isle. Similar story here on Oahu. There is some cloud cover along the Ko'olau. Most of the moisture has been north of the islands this morning. Over on Maui County, relatively quiet, and a very similar story on Hawaii Island, except you can see a few light showers moving in towards Volcano. This has been over the last hour, but they're starting to dissipate as they get closer to Hawaii Volcanoes National Park. Breaking down your overall weather pattern, I want to walk you through our island by island forecast. Over on Kauai, we've got scattered showers, partly sunny conditions. On Oahu, mostly sunny, 84 in town, 80 in Kaneohe, 83 in Kapolei. And then over on Maui County, spotty showers, mostly sunny. Easterlies around 5 to 15 miles per hour. 85 in Kahului, 84 in Kihei. And moving over to Hawaii Island, increasing cloud cover, some scattered evening showers. 84 in Kona. Kona winds, or calm winds, will become more west-southwesterly in the evening. Showers are likely over in Hilo, mostly cloudy, like we're kind of seeing right now on the First Alert radar and satellite. And then over on the northern portions of the Big Island, east-northeasterlies around 5 to 10 miles per hour. Again, in our First Alert windcast, overall easterly flow will continue today, but as we go forward in time, you'll notice a little bit more southeasterly Tuesday afternoon, and even lighter and southeasterly on Wednesday. This is around 11 a.m. on Wednesday. So more humidity being introduced into the atmosphere out there. So better chance for some showers. Some land and sea breeze showers are possible. You'll notice as we're going forward, a little bit of green out there. Better chance for some cloud cover as we're going into Wednesday. This is around 11 a.m. You start to see some cloud cover building in. Your surf and shoreline forecast. North and west facing shores are on the rise for this afternoon. South facing shores around 1 to 3 and a little bit choppy out there on east facing shores because of these breezy trade winds we've been seeing. Your First Alert 7-day forecast, you can notice a better chance for showers as we're going into the end of this week. We've got a weak cold front that's going to be off to our northwest, but more lighter winds are expected, and when we see lighter winds, we see those pop-up afternoon showers.
A historic and emotional day. I'm Karen Waugh in West Texas with the first ever all-female crew to travel to space. We have a play-by-play from the crew, including from pop star Katy Perry and CBS's own Gayle King.
right, time for some good news now. The first all-female crew aboard Blue Origin's New Shepard rocket is back on Earth after making a history-making flight.
Yeah, Karen Hua shows us the spectacular view.
1, 2, 3, take us space!
This was the view inside Blue Origin's space capsule when an all-female crew took flight Monday morning. It was the journey of a lifetime for this lucky half dozen, including CBS Mornings co-host Gayle King and singer Katy Perry. Journalist and pilot Lauren Sanchez organized the group after pitching the all-women flight to fiancé and Amazon and Blue Origin founder Jeff Bezos.
I can't wait to hear how it's changed you.
Gayle's emotions were written on her face as she rang the bell heading into the capsule. But the self-admitted nervous flyer surprised herself.
I can't stress enough, guys, how terrified I was. But it was so calming to me, and it was so peaceful.
They are floating, they are weightless.
The 10-minute flight allowed this crew to collect data for future flights and gain a new perspective on Earth.
Just protect this planet we're on. I mean, this is the only one we've got.
The crew also included a film producer, a former NASA engineer, and a scientist who advocates for survivors of sexual violence like herself. That's Amanda Nguyen, who made this flight a healing experience with a very personal zero-gravity indicator.
I ended up bringing it and floating it, and it's the hospital band from the day.
And Katy Perry did sing in space, choosing a little bit of What a Wonderful World.
I didn't pick one of my songs because, again, it's not about me. It's about the collective, and it's about the view that we get to see, that we're humbled by, and how wonderful our world is.
The women say they hope their moment in space will inspire others to dream big. Karen Hua, CBS News, Van Horn, Texas.
Those spacesuits.
Yeah, they look cool. I'm glad we're doing more space stuff. It's cool to watch.
Absolutely. Thanks for watching.